early September, we told you about a Leger poll that shows almost half of Canadians are currently living paycheck to paycheck. As the cost of living crisis continues to squeeze household budgets, many might fall into habits like skipping bills or credit card payments. So this morning, we're joined by BC licensed insolvency trustee Blair Metten to discuss the options available to British Columbians if they end up in that position. Good morning, Blair.
Good morning.
So as I said, lots of Canadians are struggling right now, obviously, as the cost of living goes up, as the inflation crisis continues to unfold. And we've all been taught that if you miss a credit card payment, it's very bad. You can have bad credit and nobody wants that, right? So what can people do, or what happens if folks do miss a payment?
Well, you're absolutely right. Things are very difficult right now for the BC consumer. The most difficult I've ever seen as a trustee. And, you know, missing one payment is not the end of the world. There's a couple of repercussions. You know, first off, everyone understands this. You'll be charged some interest. So if you don't pay a credit card bill on time, your interest goes right back to the day you purchased the item, not the day the bill was due. So you might even be more interest than you're thinking about. The second thing is usually not just one payment, but if there's multiple payments, there will be a notation put on your credit report, and every notation that's on your credit report, for good or bad, is there for 6 years. So you want to be careful you're not building up a whole pattern of missed payments that could start to ding your credit pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Now, some people might find themselves in a position right now where they're choosing between buying groceries for their families or paying their credit card bills off. So what happens if people just have to stop paying their debt to feed their families?
Yeah, a lot of folks that I deal with, they have to make the right decision in that situation every time, which is, of course, to feed your family and then deal with the debt implications. So a couple things that can happen. Well, first off, after about 3 missed payments, that's when the credit card company or the credit grantor is going to get collection agents involved. And that's when things can really escalate from a stressful point of view. You know, a lot of threats of legal action, a lot of calls morning, noon, and night. People can feel very despondent if collectors are involved. If the collectors don't resolve the situation, they can take legal action. So a couple things your creditors can do. They have to go to court first, so it often takes a little bit of time, but they can take your wages, they can go to your employer and take up to 30%. They can seek to register on your assets, a house or a vehicle. So you really can't ignore something if it's coming up at you. If you're starting to miss a lot of payments, you want to be proactive, knowing that there are potentially repercussions.
Yeah, so what does being proactive look like if you're in this situation?
Well, if you're starting to miss payments and you're starting to get legal notices, don't ignore them. You really need to understand what's coming down the pike against you. You need to know if it's the government, you might get very little legal notices. You might not even know before your wages are being taken or your assets are starting to get registered against, but you know if you're starting to miss payments or not honoring obligations. So reach out to a licensed insolvency trustee, get some advice on what you can do. A trustee can stop all collection activities, all legal remedies right dead in its tracks, not someone that's here to judge you, someone that's here to help you move forward.
Yeah, because I can imagine a lot of people might start to feel that daunting anxiety and stress if they're in this situation. So ignoring the issue might just feel like, well, if I can just put it away for now, I can come back to it later. But you're saying, no, like it's best to get ahead of it.
Well, absolutely. And finances aren't something you can just put away out of your mind. It's something that people they tell us through our research, they think about it all the time. It's a constant worry. Their sleep suffers, their relationships suffer, their health suffers. So once you start to get help, I have nobody I've ever dealt with that regretted reaching out for help. I have almost everybody I've dealt with said, why did I suffer so long? Why did I not reach out for help, tell my story, get some support? You don't have to suffer alone, and you're far from alone today if you're having financial trouble. You can reach out for help and get a better tomorrow for sure.
And what does that help look like when folks reach out? What's the first step usually?
Well, the first step, it's a free initial consultation where we talk about your entire situation, figure out what your objectives are, and then explain to you, here's what the law sets out in Canada on how you can restructure your debt. You don't have to take collection calls 7 days a week, morning, noon, or night. You don't have to pay back 20% interest for the rest of your life. There's great options you might not even know about, like a consumer proposal, where you consolidate all the debt together, you pay no interest, and you pay back what you can afford to repay. So sometimes it's as little as 20 or 30 cents on the dollar. You restructured, you're back in control, put the family first, put your own needs first, and really get the help that you need to deal with the debt.
Blair, great advice there. Thank you so much for your time. As always, if you are looking for support, you can always find it online and reach out for help if you need it. Christina, how's the morning looking this morning on our roads?